John, let me get a take from you about Trump's choice in your expertise of Mr. Homan.
Hey, look, I've known Tom a long time. Tom and I worked together during the Obama administration. I'll say a few things about Tom. Look, he's tough as he comes. He's tough as he looks when he's on television. Tom's got more experience than just about anybody when it comes to immigration enforcement and border security. Look, I agree, and I watched that interview you did with him last night. I agree with Tom's goals. We have to secure the border. Failing to secure the border creates alternative threats and gives backdoors to cartels to get in the country. And we need to keep ICE focused on those individuals who pose a threat to public safety. My concern is that's not exactly what the president is saying. And the way in which Tom wants to go about it, look, there are other ways of doing this that are better. I mean, Tom last night said at the border, for instance, we need to expand detention so we can detain kids for longer than 20 days, right? He wants at least 40 days to detain kids. He wants to create laws that just push people back to Mexico and deny some people that are legitimately feeling persecution. And I guess my frustration is, he presents it a little bit as that's either we have an insecure border and these horrible things that come with that, or we take these draconian measures. And I think that's a false narrative, Chris. We should enforce the rule of law. We need to enforce the rule of law, but we should demand that Congress do its job, hire the immigration judges so we can have an asylum system, but also maintain the rule of law, flood the zone with the rule of law so we can keep our laws in place, but we don't need to dump our laws.
Well, look, the key in that, you agree with Homan on, Congress has to do its damn job. They've both kept this problem going because the problem works better politically for the parties than solving it. Hopefully the time has come and they feel the public pressure and Trump puts the screws to them, and then they can work out this balance that you're talking about. And I think you're right to pick it out. Ashish, it's good to have you, brother. Thank you for being with us. Dr. Jha, Bobby Kennedy, HHS, we both know, and especially my audience knows, mostly independent critical thinkers. Bobby said some really extreme things, that there's no such thing as a safe and effective vaccine, that the COVID vaccine kills more people than it saves. Now he's going to be the head of HHS. He says he's not an anti-vaxxer. What's your take?
Yeah, so, Chris, first of all, thanks for having me back. And look, I am worried about this selection for a couple of reasons. I mean, take the vaccine issue aside. HHS Secretary oversees Medicare. All the senior citizens in America who depend on Medicare, whole set of policies, what's going to get covered, how is the insurance going to get structured, all of that is decided at HHS. The bottom line is, for decades, we have used evidence and science to make decisions. That's been true for Democratic HHS secretaries, been true for Republican ones. Alex Azar, Trump's last secretary, did a very good job on these things. RFK Jr. has a bunch of ideas that just don't pass the basic test of either logic or science and evidence. And I worry if he begins to apply that to the way he thinks about Medicare, the way he thinks about that to all the other things, we are going to have serious lives at risk. So that's my concern about him. It's not a criticism of Donald Trump. Again, he's picked some very good people in the past. I am deeply worried about this. It is not something that I think is going to be good for the American people.
Just a quick beat, and then I want to go back to the other fellows about what we just learned from him. You do agree with Bobby, though, and because it's just a fact, obesity, childhood diabetes with everybody, totally. Everything is getting worse. And that's what his focus is supposed to be, not destroying Medicare.
No, look, I do agree, but he has a whole bunch of things. He's talked about fluoride. He's talked about how COVID was designed to spare Jewish people. I mean, he has some pretty crazy ideas. But on obesity, he's right. Of course, all of us know obesity is a huge crisis. That's not an interesting fact. To me, the question is, what are you going to do about it? What are the policies? Government going to dictate to food companies what food they can make? Is that going to be the policy? I want to see
what they can put in it.
Oh, fine. Let's talk about what additives are you going to allow, which ones are not. Who's going to pick? Is it going to be government agencies? Use science to make those decisions. That's where the rubber hits the road. But big pronouncements aren't going to get us there.
I get you, but that's always true. What I'm just saying is everybody is wasting all their calories, pun intended, in worrying about what he might be. Let's see what he does. And then we'll have the conversation. We'll go with what the process is. We'll go with what the policies are, and we'll have the conversation. Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.